hard to come up with questions, especially because
After all this time?
Yeah, but especially because you keep coming here every year in the past 30 years. And
We're not complaining though.
I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. I need to be better at
It's
this.
pretty impressive though, like coming back to Prague.
I am impressed that you guys are still
But
coming
it's
here.
also the fact that it's pretty random that this place has become like such a rock place, you know? Like you have amazing festivals and you obviously helped us build this brand here. Like it's pretty impressive.
Thank you for coming back every
Pleasure.
single time. This is actually your 7th time here in the Czech Republic. Crazy. Absolutely amazing.
Good.
So you've been here for a while now. What would be the 3 things that you could say about Czech Republic that you know about this country?
Very interesting. I think that a lot of the architecture was created around the 15th century. Am I right? Really?
You know
I'm pretty sure the astronomical clock is 14 something.
I don't wanna go
You
into
should not argue with me because
not,
I Googled it while I was in front of it.
Okay, that could be the truth, but everything here is named after Charles, not this guy, but Charles IV, who was
as it should be.
Who was a king. Oh yeah, you're right, in the 14th century, but some of the things were
well,
built
it's the
even
15th
before.
century because it's in the 14th.
No, it was like 13 something.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
So I should have
So it's
just
the
shut up.
14th century.
I would have
It's
sounded
okay.
smart.
That's okay.
So that's one of them?
That's one of them.
You really love
Architecture.
your stews.
Do we? Okay.
The goulash.
Goulash, yeah, but that's
Which is sort of a stew, right?
Yeah, but it's more sort of Hungarian. But you're right. Okay.
I went to a perfectly fair Czech restaurant yesterday.
Was it a tourist spot?
No, it was not. It was not. It was actually
Yeah.
very legit.
I have learned recently that the country wants to be called Czechy as opposed to Czech Republic.
Czechia.
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 Well, in English,
Well,
Czech.
we don't want that. I see.
But so that was really interesting. I did not know that, and I was intrigued. It's like kind of like a rebrand.
So there's a controversy about that?
There is a controversy
Okay,
about
what's
that.
your stance about it?
I like Czech Republic.
I love Czech Republic.
I think that it just gives you everything you need to know about us, because there's also a problem where part of we're divided into 3 parts. There's Bohemia, that's where you get like the Bohemian and everything. That's where we are right now. But in Czech, it's called Czechia, basically Czechy, let's say that. Then you have Moravia, and then you have Silesia, which is also partially Polish. But then I come from Moravia, and if you call the entire country Czechia, then you're taking the identity of the rest of the people. So that's why I prefer the Czech Republic bit.
Yes, so it used to be, correct me if I'm wrong, but it used to be like Czechoslovakia.
That was way back in the day.
Way before, and then Slovakia was part of it, and then it's sort of separated.
Yes.
And now it's Czech Republic and Slovakia, 2 different countries. That's
Exactly.
what I know about it.
Oh, perfect.
Pretty good, right?
So that would be the 3 things. Perfect. I honestly thought that you would talk about like hockey, football.
Well, lots of
Beer.
great hockey players.
said 3.
You have one of the most amazing hockey player, Jagger. He still plays, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And lots of medals for hockey.
And I actually knew the amount of liters of beer that every citizen here drinks, and it's insane. I forgot what it was.
We drink the most per capita.
I know that.
In the entire world.
The number is insane.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, it's like
180 liters
it's
kind of thing.
Ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know who drinks for me, but
I was going to say, because clearly some people don't drink, so some people drink a lot.
Yeah. So welcome back to the Czech Republic. Welcome back on tour. It's really great to have you back on stage here. Obviously, you've noticed that we've been following the set lists for a while now.
And very close attention.
Yes, and you guys like to change the set list a little bit every single night on this tour. And while the set list is very diverse, I've noticed that Team for the team is kind of missing.
Oh, that's
according
a fair,
to my statistics.
It's a fair discussion that we've actually had this morning. We might change it up. We might fix that.
We might have to remedy that.
We agree with you. It's a great record, and we should represent it more.
At least with one song. Come on. There's so
So
many
you know
different
what? Let's make it a thing.
Okay.
We're fixing this tonight.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
We'll play a song from the 5th record today. How about that? For you.
Now you want to have your say, don't you?
I don't want to have my say. I don't want to have my say, but that would be actually pretty cool.
That
would be pretty cool. Wow.
It's funny because I don't even think that it was intentional. We might have forgotten.
I think you've forgotten.
Yeah.
Because
we didn't do it on purpose.
Well, we used to play Boom from the record, and we just felt like, maybe we change it up. We try to put other songs that we don't play as often. we're trying to. So the whole thing about the set list is that the idea, the intention behind what we're doing is that we know we have a lot of like a really good collection of songs that our fans love, and unfortunately in festival context or even headliners, because we don't have as much time as we would want, you know, you can't get to all of them. So the idea a few years back started to be like, well, let's try to rotate a few songs so that every night it's going to be a little different. And we didn't want to become one of those bands that just plays exactly the same thing, you know, every single night. And we thought it would be fun to kind of create a bit of surprise. Obviously, it's not like Pearl Jam or Grateful Dead where they completely change it. But it's still, if you come to a show, if you come to multiple shows, you will hear different songs. And it's hard because when you have as a band, when you have a perfect set list, you're like, oh, everything flows really well. When you keep changing it, sometimes you walk off the stage, you're like, I don't know if this was a good change or if this made the set better or not. But we really decided, had the intention and made the decision that we really wanted to try to do that as a gift for our fans that are more like the hardcore fans.
And we have fans that follow the tour as well. You know, we want them to have a different experience every time. You know, it's a lot more work for us because there's a lot of argument about, you know, which songs to.
Lots of back and forth on text.
A lot of texting for sure. And
but also, it keeps us in good shape.
I was gonna say,
it keeps us knowing
musically, you kind of have to work. I now practice Simple Plan songs.
Wow.
I know.
We have to go
Good
back
job.
and like kind of relearn older songs and like look back and play them together. But it's been going really well. It's been really fun. And
I'm enjoying it. I played, you know, last one standing.
we haven't played that
Wow.
one live yet, but we've been practicing it at soundcheck. So maybe we'll throw it in. We don't know what it would be great to know every night exactly what people want. Maybe we should actually start to do a survey or something. That would be good.
That's what I try to do sometimes for you.
Democracy. What do people want
Yeah.
every night?
I'm kind of curious. What do you get that we don't play a lot? What do
Well,
you?
taking one for the team was like the most set thing by the fans that
Really?
you don't play, because they want to hear at least something. They understand that you have a certain amount
No, I agree.
of really
I agree.
really well known songs, and you can't play everything. That's why I think it also keeps the fans on their toes whenever you change it, because they're excited.
Did you hear any
about the-
standout tracks from that record?
From
Like
what-
tracks that would, you know, be more requested from that record.
from that record, Farewell, probably Opinion Overload, like the heavier, I guess, ones are the ones that they've named. So yeah, okay, I take that. Speaking of
Farewell's a
songs,
good track. Yeah, you gotta do that one.
I refuse as well. Anyway, Pierre recently mentioned in an interview that you guys are thinking about starting to work on the next album this year, hopefully. And I know that usually after your touring cycle, you like to take a little bit of a break and stay at home and a little bit like take a break and chill. So is that even like feasible to think about actually starting some work, because you have so much touring to
It's
still
a
do
big
this
year.
year?
It's a busy year for sure. We still have places to go that we haven't been since the pandemic. You know, we're going to South America for the first time since 2018 or 19. We're going to Australia for the first time since 2019. December was the last time we were there. So still a lot of touring to do. Obviously, we're just not the Apple thing.
We're gonna have some gifts though throughout the year.
Yeah, we're gonna start thinking about it. We're gonna start working on it. I think. I don't know how it's. Obviously, we're not gonna have a new record out this year. That's for sure. But you know, we know that it's, you know, the last one came out in 2022, so it's gonna be time to. And more than like a chore, I think it's exciting. I think it's obviously it feels it's hard because for us making a record is very intensive, and we don't just do it in 2 months. Like it's a big commitment, and it's and the bar is high. Like we want to make something as good as the last one and the last one before that. And so, you know, it is like a bit like kind of staring at this big mountain and being at the bottom and going like, oof, we have to start this journey. But you know, we have, at the same time, it's also exciting. So I think we're gonna start getting into that mode pretty soon. Probably not the first half of this year, but maybe on the second half.
Sounds good.
And start maybe trying some ideas and, you know, just kind of collecting ideas on our own as well. Like just for me, I'm writing down stuff when I come up with it, you know, direction, a title, or like cool lyrics, whatever. So I write that down and I have
Are
it.
you already trying to prep?
Yeah,
before?
I think my experience tells me that it's always better to try to stack some stuff, but it's hard when you're not really in the mode because you casually write down stuff, but it's when you're really in it and there's a bit of a pressure, like a deadline, like tomorrow we have a session we're gonna write together. It really sort of forces you to go at it harder. But yeah, it's in.
There was also like a question, like, do you release 3 songs, 4 songs, and then you put out a record? I think it's coming a lot more towards records. Maybe it's the vinyl revolution, that kind of like comeback.
Yeah.
That kind of brought it back to full records. I hope that we release a full record.
Yeah, I think we're still going back and forth on that. Like, would fans like more songs more often, or would they like more time but a full album? It's a bit of a tricky thing. I'm not sure what's the best. Also,
Neither do I.
even for us as a band, like, what's the best way to release music? 'Cause when you put out a record, like our last one, it's
almost like 15 days after, it's like old news.
well, I'm really, really proud of it. I think, like, for example, there's a song called Slow Motion on it. I think it's one of my favorite songs.
I still love that song. It's one of my
And
favorite.
like, it's towards the end of the record and it didn't get a tons of attention. It's like, maybe if we had released that as a separate thing or as part of a 2-3 song collection, maybe people love it more and they pay more attention to it. Is the best format giving people 10 songs or giving them little chunks of songs more often? I'm not sure. It's a bit of a tough one. But I think moving forward, we're going to have to decide what we do on that. And we have not decided yet.
Surely. Pierre has also mentioned that you guys have a piano version of Anxiety somewhere. And that he's trying to persuade the rest of the guys to release it. So how successful has he been in that?
I mean, when we put an arrangement together, on a record, we feel it's the best version of the song. And we've revised that song quite a bit. It's changed a lot, the demos, and then there's another version circulating that's not as good as the record version, I don't think. So it's like, maybe it'll come out, as a gift to the fans at some point. But I personally think that the version we have on the record is the best version of that song. I think it's wonderful. I think it's really, really strong. So,
at this point, it would be cool to just throw it out. We'll see. I haven't heard it in a long time. We haven't. I think that was a bit like a year ago when we were talking about it. Like, hey, should we do that or not? But why not? Maybe it's cool. Maybe it's not.
It would be interesting. Like,
yeah,
I think that the fans would love to hear like
We've
another way.
We've done some EP with some B-sides and all that stuff. So maybe we'll try to do something like that. Obviously, it's the 25th, big anniversary for the band this year. It's been 25 years since we started. We have a lot of
so we're gonna give
projects.
gifts to our fans.
So maybe we could incorporate something like that in there. I'm not sure yet.
That would be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So because of the music industry changing so much in the past decade or 2 decades, is there anything that you think you would like to bring back from when you guys first started that was really cool that maybe made being in a band easier or more fun?
I think videos, the culture of videos was just more important back then, I basically
music
grew
television.
up. Yeah, I grew up watching television. Like, it was called Music Plus, which was our MTV. I was on all the time at my place, like all the time. My parents would go insane, but I loved it. I loved watching all the genres. I was very intrigued, and I wish that would come back, and I think it's kind of hard nowadays to imagine that it would come back, but at some point maybe there's going to be an app that kind of showcases it more. I don't know, but that would be great because it would allow bands to reinvest in that world, Now it's kind of hard to justify spending so much money on a little movie showcasing a song, but I love that format. I thought it was brilliant, and it just brought a different perspective to songs, like you would hear a song on a record and then you would see the video and you're like, oh shit. It's almost like a new discovery of the song, So that's one thing I kind of miss from the old days.
Yeah, I think the physical product as well, like the actual having a CD. Now you can have the vinyl, which is great because it's big and everything, but it's obviously a bit of a niche thing. It's like it's not that many people that will eventually play it or whatever. There was something about that. Obviously, you can't replace the convenience of just, hey, there's a new release. You don't have to go to the store. It just appears on your phone at midnight. 1 second later, you can listen to it. It's pretty hard to walk away from that. But there was something to be said about, the physical aspect, the importance of the artwork and everything, and people having it in their hands. So I think we're still doing that with having the vinyls and all that stuff. So we still have CDs in some parts of the world, but there was something tangible about it that was cool.
I was very afraid during the pandemic when we saw the live streams, come up. I was like, holy shit, people are going to start getting lazy and stay on their couches and watch, full shows from their homes,
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the case. People want to get together more so than ever.
Exactly.
Be in a community of like-minded people and listen to shows in real life. And if anything, it's grown, I think, like it's an experience that more people live now across many generations. I think it's pretty sick. I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, the industry's changed. Some aspects for the better though. I think the live shows are stronger. There's a great scene, Rock music is healthy right now. Might not be the thing that you hear on the radio most, but it's very healthy. The live stuff is it's rocking, it's going.
I absolutely agree. You have left your record label a couple of years ago. You're now an independent artist or artist. Is it easier or is it more difficult to pick singles from your album? Because I assume there were some people who maybe had some input in what you should release. Now it's just up to you.
Yeah, it's always hard to pick singles, whether you have a label or not. I think at the end of the day, it always comes down to the band. We've always made our decisions. Obviously, you have different input, and actually it can be harder with a label because if they have an opinion and you don't agree with it, then you have to go against that whole machine and you have to sort of...
But we always fought, like for our ideas.
Right, so you never really win. But if you impose your idea and it doesn't work, then they're like, well, we told you. Like the only way you win is if you impose your idea and it turns out to be a big hit. And then you're like, okay, but it's, in general, I think it's always just really hard because the kind of songwriting that we do, lots of songs could be like potential singles.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for us to narrow it down and say, that's the one. Like, I wish in a way, like there's some bands where they have records and I don't think it would be better for us to have these kind of records, but there's a clear song that completely stands out and it's like that's the one and it's a no-brainer. Everybody knows it. With us, I feel like it could be 4, 5, 6 songs sometimes that could be the first single or whatever, or it could be a single or even more than that, and it's just like makes it tricky, but it's always been a bit of a dilemma, and it's hard to pick one song that represents or a few songs that represent the record and the band, but try your best and see what happens.
You recently announced the tour with Avril Lavigne in the US and
Isn't that
Canada.
cool?
It's so cool. I think it's absolutely amazing. It's been like 22 years since the last time you toured with her, right?
Yeah.
You were very young. You were basically just starting out.
She was too. She was very, very young.
Is there anything that you remember about that old tour? Some memory that sticks out? Like maybe something that fans now have never heard of? Like, do you remember something from that tour?
I remember Pierre teaching her some skateboarding tricks,
Oh, yeah?
or even how to ride a skateboard. She was good, but Pierre had been doing it for a longer time. She was just very cool, watching the shows. It was very nice. It was, I don't know, we played a lot of places with her. Went to Asia. We did we do Canada too? No, we just did the US, right?
It was really special because both artists were really kind of, obviously she was exploding to a different level, but it was also our time, where the band was almost at its peak.
Mm-hmm.
It was a tough decision to make at the time to go out on tour because things were different. At the time there was that whole punk rock controversy, and doing that tour was really kind of
it was a
planting your
statement.
flag
in
the ground and saying, hey, we think that's cool and we're in to play that. A lot of people did not like that, so it was a very controversial decision. But I remember it was just really great for the band. We were playing to sold out arenas every single night. We made so many fans that told us hey, this is the first time we ever saw you. And
we still hear fans all the time that tell us that we first saw you on Avril.
Right, so it was really good, and I just remember doing signings every single night and having pandemonium, literally security freaking out, trying to shut it down. So it was very
I forgot about that.
intense. We would sign every night for everybody, buy the merch, and it was really, really cool. And we really, it was kind of trial by fire. We'd never done these big rooms, so it was learning how to play to these big crowds. It was a great experience for us as a live band. And then a few months later, we went out and we did Warped Tour. So we really that really defined like the identity of the band in some ways. Like we always had one foot, in the punk rock, like Warped Tour world, and then we had another foot where we were like, well, we can do other things. We can be a pop band as well, and so we can do both. And I think that what's interesting now is like when we got approached to do it, it felt so much more like a no-brainer this time, because now Avril, 22 years later, everybody is like embracing her and just loving. She's
an icon.
The pop punk queen, and everything. And people are, so I think mentalities have really evolved in a big way in how the scene is perceived and how music is more inclusive. And it's not like, well, you're not cool, you can't sit with us mentality, I think people are just like, yeah, man, like she's part of that world. She defined a lot of people's childhood and teenage years, and and the songs still stand the test of time, and we're really proud to be doing a tour with her. It's gonna be really fun.
Brilliant. I wish I could be there. Well, maybe next time you should bring her over. And
Well,
I know
you
you're doing some shows with her this,
in the UK.
This summer.
Yeah.
So
We're playing 2 shows with her in the UK. I think maybe it all
And
came
Italy.
from that because the shows in the UK sold out in I think 2-3 hours or something. It was crazy. So they probably went up like, this could be a good idea. So it worked out well.
Well, I'm really excited for you. This is very exciting. Thank you so much for the interview. This is
Pleasure.
absolutely perfect. And we're going to move on to our little game.